Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Obviously, an enormous news week, which, of course, for regular listeners of the show means that whatever the top story of the week is, Johnny Million knows about it, but didn't pay attention. And then this only pertains to the biggest stories. It's amazing, how much attention he'll pay to kind of like B-list stories. And I think that's great.
Periphery guy.
Yeah, sure. And you know, weird little cul-de-sacs of news, which is also helpful. Because I can be a bit of a laser beam. You know, I can be even though I'm not Jewish, a Jewish space laser in deference to MTG, and focus a little bit too much on the main biggies. So it's good that Johnny can keep me sort of intellectually grounded, let's say. Obviously, the Jan 6 committee hearings began this week. Big launch. Unfortunately for Fox News, and Don Jr. and all the folks that were downplaying it and saying it was going to be no big deal and it's just a piece of theater. Apparently, people missed the theater because the ratings are in and it got over 20 million viewers. Meanwhile, Fox, that normally wins that hour on news channels, lost on Thursday night because people would rather actually watch the news, even Fox viewers, oddly enough. They did, however...
That is weird.
They did air it on Fox Business because it's definitely... Fox is in the business of January 6th insurrection, you know, and I mean, there was they got 300,000 viewers on there because everybody else wanted to watch it without Maria Bartiromo belching red wine over it, I guess. But the amazing... Yeah, right? Purple teeth. Bahap. Anyways, I watched the whole thing, of course, and I live streamed right up to it. And my choice of live streaming about it was to critique line by line, moment by moment, bit by bit, the Dinesh D'Souza documentary, schlockumentary, rockumentary, if you will, 2,000 Mules. Which is, I think, in reference to the amount of animals it would take to create the kind of dung piles necessary to even start having the level of crap that was in that thing. I finished it last night on my live stream for anybody who wants to watch it. It took me 2 goes because it was 2 hours long, and there's a lot of nonsense in it. But I felt like it was a good tee-up because they're still relitigating the reason... the primary reason, anyways, for January 6th. Let's understand something about the January 6th.
They still haven't nailed down how that happened.
Right. I mean, it was mostly, obviously, I know you think of BLM as largely liberals and African Americans and Antifa as largely skinny white kids from the suburbs wearing masks and lying to their mom about where they were. Exactly. But apparently, the vast majority of BLM rioters and Antifa members are diabetic, overweight, 50 and 60-somethings that secretly began wearing MAGA hats in 2015 to conceal their identity from the forces.
They do it. That's how they get you.
It's amazing. And curiously enough, one of the reasons why, obviously, Fox did not air the January 6th hearings on their prime channel was because Sean Hannity himself was part of the proceedings. They read text between him and Kayleigh McEnany during the sort of opening part of it when they were discussing the I wouldn't even call it the coordination because it was more like a reflexive attempt to, it was like watching Sean Hannity try to shove toothpaste back into a tube. You know what I mean? But it was poo. And the fascinating part for me is that if there was a Post story about a Democratic attempt at an insurrection, and Rachel Maddow had been texting privately with Karine Jean-Pierre or Jen Psaki, what would be the primary cries that you would hear besides fascist? This is the definition of fascism. This is fascism. The fascism.
Primary cries.
This is These are the complaints would be that, hand in glove, the media and the Democrats are colluding against the American people to destroy our way of life. Meanwhile, though, apparently Sean Hannity can basically direct the messaging from the White House through Kayleigh McEnany like he's giving her notes instead of Trump. Because the breakdown of these things was, here's a list of how the messaging needs to happen from the White House starting today, starting right now. And he made this list like, no more talk about election fraud, all that kind of, like a list of things. Like you gotta distance yourself from all these things, which is not only something that I guess I don't even know what to call him, anchor person. It doesn't even an opinion news-ish guy. Like, what do you do? Yeah, right. Well, he's not a pundit because it's his seat, and the pundits are the temps that come on. You know what I mean? The rotating cast of people who chit chat about the news. The lazy Susan of political ideologues that come on shows, and they can go, who do we have that knows this topic? Right? That's fine. That's what a pundit it does. But I mean, there are opinion, because Fox News literally has gone to defend Tucker Carlson in court, saying it's an entertainment show. No one should really trust what he says. So even calling them, the joke of calling them journalists is silly. They don't work for a journal. They don't write. They read they're teleprompter jockeys. Let's go with that. All right, we're going with teleprompt. Like so Sean Hannity, professional teleprompter jockey, is is directing the talking points to Kayleigh McEnany in some ways to help Trump, but in large part to help himself, because he's now in a hole that Trump dug, and it's ruining his, he's worried it'll ruin what's left of his reputation. He's backpedaled since all that stuff. Trump didn't take his advice, so he certainly isn't going to take his own advice at that point. But as teleprompter jockeys go, and I'm enjoying that. Leon Persky in the chat is calling it a TP jockey, which sounds slightly different, but I get where you're going. The TPJs of the world, hashtag TPJ. There is it's sort of an expectation of Kayleigh McEnany people would be telling what the White House's messaging is to even friendly journalists. I mean, that's even overreach in this situation. That's too much. If Jen Psaki was like, they have these round tables with the press, or they'll bring in the Washington Post. They'll go, here's our message. Here's what we're saying. Just so we're clear that you're not all in different rooms and you're not all hearing different things. Sit down. This is what we're telling you. The right cries foul about that like crazy. But certainly private phone calls are way past that, right? Are way past that edge. Beyond that, the idea that like Sean Hannity is like calling back and going, no, here's what we're going to say, is stunningly hilarious, largely considering the cries of foul coming from Fox about the Democrats control big tech, the Democrats and the media are all in it together. When in fact, I mean, we always know that their projection is a confession, but it's
100% of the time.
Yeah, it is hilarious how embarrassing it must be for Fox to just watch that happen. Hey guys, tune in right now. What's happening? oh, the guy who's normally on the air right now, yeah, his texts are being read as part of the committee hearings because he was colluding, to use a favorite term, behind the scenes with the White House spokesperson, not only because he was sort of, being the Trump whisperer at that time, but because they had no idea what they were doing and how to spin it once it got out of control. That in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, they did not think this all the way through.
No, thank God. And again,
thank God, they're so bad at this.
Yes,
I know
right.
I said it before, but seriously.
Before we go to the break, I just want to remind everyone how happy you should be, as difficult as it is to watch some of these hearings and hear what happened to the police officers as people beat cops with Blue Lives Matter flags. I mean, obviously they pegged the needle on the hypocrisy meter these days. But in this particular moment, as these things play out, and I know it can be enraging and infuriating to watch this happen, but also don't be afraid to count your blessings and know that not only are these people idiots and we're horrible at this, but they were even worse at it than we thought. They were even less prepared for the thing they actively prepared for. That to me is amazing, that they were building up to this, but since everybody wasn't on board, they had to have a need to know basis even amongst the faithful that essentially knifed the tires on their own getaway car. It's just, and then the Ivanka, we'll talk about it when we come back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. Follow him on Twitter. It's now just at Johnny Million. There's no one on the end of it. It's just at Johnny Million. I think it's great. I'm excited. I did it immediately. I'm at Hal Sparks on all your favorite social media sites and on some of the ones you hate, including Truth Social. Let me tell you about that when we come back. Wow.